Alright, so now that we've got our filter set up, time to start calculating our KPIs. And let's think about what we need for a second. This is going to be a monthly revenue dashboard. So we are going to want to start with the total revenue. And that's going to be the total revenue for the current month for the selected region. So we're going to want to use SUMIFS since it's the sum of total revenue. So SUMIFS, we're going to want to sum the revenue whenever the region is equal to this region here. And as I click on it, you'll notice that we get the name that we set up for it instead of the normal cell reference. So what we can do now, comma over, our second criteria is going to be the month. And instead of having to click over to our data prep tab, we can just write it. So current month, final criteria, we want the year to be equal to the current year. So we're summing the revenue whenever the region is equal to the selected region, the month is equal to the current month, and the year is equal to the current year. Excellent. We get this value. Let's add some formatting really quick. Currency, no decimal places, and there we go. Now let's just check that it's working for the rest of the regions here. Perfect. Alright, so that's total revenue, but to add context to this value, then we're going to want to calculate year over year and month over month changes. And for that, we'll first need the revenue for this month last year. So basically same period last year. So we're going to call this previous year revenue. And again, we're going to use SUMIFS, open parentheses. We still want the sum of total revenue whenever the region is equal to the selected region and whenever the month is equal to the current month. Because remember, this is the same period last year calculation. So the only difference is that the year needs to be the previous year. Close that out, press enter. Let's copy the formatting over. Whoops, the other way around. Alright, and up next we need previous month revenue. So this is simply the previous period. So again, SUMIFS. We need to sum the revenue whenever the region is equal to the selected region, whenever the month is equal to the previous month. Remember, this is going to be just the previous period. And for the year, this is when it gets a little bit tricky, because you'd think that you just want the current year. And that's because that's true for 11 out of the 12 months of the year, right? If we're in July, then the previous month is June for that same year. If we're in June, then the previous month is May for that same year. But if we're in January, then the previous month is actually in the previous year. So let's write that into our formula. I'm going to delete this. So if the current month is equal to January, so 1, then the previous month, which is what we're trying to calculate here, is actually in the previous year. But if the current month is not 1, so if we're in any other month of the year, then the previous month is going to be part of the current year. Close that, close this, press enter, and there we go. Now, I'll be honest, that was a little confusing, and we are going to be making plenty of previous month calculations, and it's going to be hard to bake this if formula into each one. So what we can do is just add this calculation to our date filter here. So let's just call it PM year. So it's the year that we're going to use for our previous month calculations. And let's just copy this formula. Copy that. Paste it here. Let's left align, and let's assign a name to this as well. Let's call it PM year, and we can replace it right here. And you'll see we get the same exact result. But now we can use this whenever we need to make any previous month calculations. So now that we do have these two figures though, calculating the percentage change is pretty simple. So let's do previous year, percentage, and I'm going to insert a quick symbol here just to indicate change. Close out of that, and I'm just going to copy it. So that's previous year and previous month, percentage change. So for previous year, all we need is current period divided by previous period minus 1. Let's format this as a percentage and add a decimal number. And for previous month, same thing. So current period divided by previous period minus 1. Press enter. Copy the formatting. And now let's just format everything here. And let's copy this and just change it to green. And now let's just check that our selection is still working. And it looks like we're all set with our KPIs.